Hello,
Hello,
welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Andy,
and I'm Jo.
and we are here for
This.
this.
Hastily prepared then coming in.
Forgot something.
So, yesterday for us, but 2 days ago, because this is going up on Monday, so it'd be Saturday, we went to the opening night of Alexander Hamilton at
Hamilton.
Hamilton at the Manchester Palace Theatre. It's the opening night of the UK tour. It's the first time that Hamilton has been performed in the UK, not on the West End.
Yep.
And we were in the room when it happened.
Yeah, we were in the room. I was about to say we were there, but no, we were in the room when it happened.
We didn't really film anything like at the theatre, so before the show, the queue to get in was really... It moved quickly, but it was a long queue. And then once we were inside, we basically got some merch.
Then again, the queues for the merch were long. It's opening night.
Yeah.
And then we dove straight for our seats because it was crowded. That was a sellout
Yeah,
house. There's not a spare seat in that place at all.
No, not at all. I did film the curtain call. We don't always film curtain calls because, one, I find it quite hard to make sure that you've not just got the backs of people's heads to see.
Yeah.
And two, it's like, am I getting in other people's way, like the people who sat next to me? Either side of me was Andy and one of our friends, so it made it a bit easier, and I had a fairly decent view. So I will insert the curtain call now. So, I don't really know where to start with this review. Because I feel like if you have any interest in musicals, you've probably seen Hamilton because it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
A lot of people have seen it in the West End, and it's kind of like a cultural phenomenon. I don't know why I tried to say that word.
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. But it is kind of like a cultural phenomenon. So I went into this thinking, I don't know if it's going to be necessarily different to what we've seen, because we've seen it in the West End and we've watched Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I went into it thinking, I don't know if it's going to be different. It was opening night, which the last 2 times we've been to an opening night, we've had technical stops. So we kind of expected maybe some technical difficulties.
Yeah, which it wasn't.
Yeah, maybe people like missing the cues or just general nerves because
it's opening night.
It's opening night of a very big show, of the first tour. Like, the nerves must have been.
It's a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
Right. None of the cast were holdovers from the West End either. Every single person was new and never done it before. So it's not like you had the seniority on the cast to sort of help.
Yeah, it's not like just one person coming into an established cast. But they were honestly spectacular.
Yes, they were absolutely fantastic.
Like, actually blew me away with how good. I actually came out of it saying, I think that was better than the West End.
I disagree with that one.
You've got a couple of characters that you preferred from the West End.
Yeah.
Like, not characters, actors that you preferred from the West End.
Yeah.
Whereas, there were people who I liked in the West End, but I just think, as an overall, I think it was better than the West End.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about some of the actors then, who you thought were especially standout?
I mean, I feel like the obvious first one you have to talk about is Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
So, carefully armed with a programme. So, Alexander Hamilton, played by Shaq Taylor.
Yes.
So, this morning, as I was reading through the programme, a line that stood out to me was, Shaq is currently the face of IKEA in the UK and Ireland.
How did we miss that?
The entire time, I was like, I've seen him in something. Now,
He looks
I know
familiar.
I had the programme and I could have read it in the theatre, but the only thing we usually do with the programme in the theatre is do the quick Doctors game of who's appeared in Doctors and Holby City. It used to be The Bill, but, you know, R.I.P. The Bill. So it's now Holby City and Doctors game. So we flicked through, played the Doctors game, and then we put it away because we were talking to friends and watching the show.
So if you're in the UK and Ireland, you've probably seen this advert where he's giving a tour of his house to his parents.
Yeah,
and
it's kind
look
of
around my
crib.
crib.
Yeah, crib style, and it's like,
it's
in the pool, but actually it's a paddling pool.
It's a great advert.
But yeah, literally, I read that and was like, oh my gosh, of course he is. Like, it just didn't put two and two together during the show. But I think he is outstanding.
Yeah, he's a great Hamilton.
So good.
So my standout bit for Hamilton, not the show, the person, but was when he was defending himself from the infidelity claims from Jefferson and Burr and Madison.
I was like, I know it's in there.
So I don't know. The emotion carried over this very sort of strict thing of you can prove it, but I can prove that it was nothing untoward. I am not guilty of treason, and it was very sort of strong and very emotional while being not, if that makes sense.
I think for me, it was him and Maya Brito, who played Eliza Hamilton, in the Quiet Uptown bit where she reached for his hand like, that breaks me.
Yep, every
anyway,
time.
It's like, see, I'm tearing up now.
I can tell.
But they were just so perfect. And now we're gonna have to cut because Joe's all like, oh. So I feel like the next person that we have to talk about is Aaron Burr, because it's the Hamilton and Burr show, really, isn't it? So Aaron Burr was played by, and I apologise that I am butchering names, Sam Oladenadi.
Yeah.
I really liked him. You weren't as keen, right?
I wasn't as keen on him at the beginning. I felt like, I don't know, maybe just biased because of the other shows that I watched. I was just like, it doesn't seem to be clicking. And then we got to the room where it happens, and it was like, oh yeah, that was your audition piece, wasn't it? Because, oh my god, he absolutely nailed it. That was such a good showing of that song in him.
So I think the thing that I liked most about his portrayal of Aaron Burr, and maybe this is true of when we saw it on the West End, but because it was our first time watching it, I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah. It
was just the sly little looks of when Aaron Burr is dismissed by Washington, or just every time Aaron Burr is trying to do anything and Hamilton is there, it was this kind of the, oh, and you're here again kind of look, and it was just subtle throughout the start, and then it kind of got more and more obvious, and I don't feel like I've seen that in any other Aaron Burr. So that's why I really liked it, that he just had that throughout of the build, the build up to the final battle.
Yeah, it's
sort of, what's it called?
Duel.
Not a battle, duel.
Yeah, when you mentioned that we always keep meeting things, that was one particular bit I almost sort of noticed, is that Burr was very oh, we keep meeting this. You're here when I'm trying to succeed, and Hamilton's always oh, yeah, we keep meeting.
Don't we? This is really odd. Yeah, I think, considering they're both saying the same line, I've never seen it like acted quite as well before.
It may have been like this in the Broadway and the West End one. It's just
like
this time it was more obvious, more effort. I don't want to say effort, but more like a stronger delivery of it almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of strong deliveries,
are you going
Jefferson?
Oh, Jefferson / Lafayette, played by
God.
Billy Nevers. Oh.
He was absolutely fantastic. He really took that character and made it his own, didn't he?
Yeah. I think he is the best Lafayette and Jefferson that we've ever seen. His Lafayette had a French accent the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just during the art anarchy.
Yeah, the bits where he had to emphasise his French language.
He had a French accent the entire time. His Jefferson was
sassy.
Yes, the sassiest of sassy Jeffersons, but also so many moves. He was a whooshy.
He was all over the
across
stage.
that stage, and yeah, just absolutely outstanding. I also feel like D'Angelo Jones, who played John Lawrence / Philip Hamilton, and K.M. Drew Boateng, who played Hercules Mulligan / James Madison. Those two, Hamilton and Lafayette, actually feels like a really believable group of friends. Like the way they did the My Shot scenes with actually drinking tankards rather than just the previous ones we've seen have just had glasses, wooden cups on the table, whereas these were much more. I think you said about it after the show, drinking.
Yeah, they were metal tankards, and I don't remember it in the Broadway show. It definitely wasn't in the West End show, but the clinking of the tankards was part of the tune, and it was much more loud and
it was
obvious.
On beat to the songs. There was little sort of nuances that they did of when they were, I think it was after the wedding, and when Burr is coming in to say about he's got a girl on the side who's married, and they were sort of doing if the Tomcat can get married, there's hope for us all. So that bit, they were pouring drinks from other tankards in a sort of haha, well, I'm going to steal the last of your drink. It just felt very...
The wedding mop-up.
Yeah, it felt very real. And they also had some of the ensemble in the background sort of staggering around as though they were leaving the wedding. Yeah. It felt more real.
Yeah. Again, it may have been there in the original show. It just stuck out more. It stood out more.
Yeah.
It made a bit more of a bigger impact.
Yeah. I think the only other people to mention, without going through literally everyone in the cast, because they really were all amazing. So, the person who was playing Peggy / Maria Reynolds, Gabriella Benedetti.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she totally ran with the fact of the I'm Peggy.
Yeah, but it was less of a "and Peggy." It was more "and Peggy" sort of.
Yeah, it was kind of because the rest of the song where they're downtown and Peggy doesn't want to be there because she's all I want to go. But Daddy says we're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
She kind of played to that petulant teen almost of I'm the good girl and I'm being dragged here, and so they're all here and I'm here as well. And it was really good. I've already briefly mentioned Maya Barretto, who played Eliza Hamilton. Absolutely phenomenal. Her scream when Philip died was amazing. I'm not going to cry. That's another point that I always cry at. Aisha Juando, who played Angelica. Not my favourite Angelica, but I thought she was very good as a believable older sister.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've necessarily seen the hatred towards Hamilton after he cheats, whereas she definitely gave that.
Mm-hmm.
I did say I'm not going to mention everyone, but Charles Simmons as George Washington. He's played George Washington in Germany, done a lot of German television.
So maybe I was wrong about talking about the seniority of the cast.
Yeah, but
if he's done a full tour, then
yeah, but he's done a tour in Germany, so it's probably in German.
Yeah, maybe.
So does that count?
Probably wasn't in German.
I mean, all of his television credits and everything are German, like vocal coaches on X Factor Germany.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But I thought he was a good George Washington. Not my favourite.
Yeah, not my favourite, but he was good. It's just, I don't know, but I prefer the original Broadway cast. George Washington felt more powerful, and like when he came out on the stage, it didn't seem like the initially strong George Washington trying to rally his troops. The rest of it was fine. It was just the beginning bit where it was just a bit. It doesn't feel like that's what he was.
He didn't have the weight.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, because it was like almost. He was a man to be feared and respected at the beginning, sort of thing. He wasn't like a personable person.
Yeah.
It was, and then that didn't really come across. But later on, when it's like he's becomes the president, it's more believable. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a believable president.
Perfect.
Not believable general.
Yeah.
And then finally, Daniel Boyes as King George.
Yeah. So you noticed something with him at first, didn't you?
Yeah. So the very first song, he had a little bit of a nervous, like, jitter in his leg, which if we hadn't been sat so close to the stage, definitely wouldn't have noticed.
Wouldn't have seen it.
And it did not impact his performance in any way.
No.
He still was pitch perfect, like gave the sass and the fun elements perfectly. It was just that first moment, a little ooh, which I mean, I would not be on that stage like with so many people.
As per usual, everyone else started screaming and cheering, and then suddenly it was like...
Yeah, the next time you saw King George, there was no worry.
He was there and present.
To be fair, like, it was a very loud audience from the get-go. Yeah. Like, from the second the lights went out.
Yeah, it was screaming. It was like a concert.
Yeah, it was an amazing atmosphere, but wouldn't have necessarily like calmed your nerves, would it?
Yeah.
So, but I thought, like, I'm just looking at the stuff that he's been in. We've definitely seen him in stuff before.
Yeah. Oh, Avenue Q, maybe.
Yeah, he's done Avenue Q. He's done Rent. Nativity. You didn't go to see Nativity. I went with.
Oh, that list is just huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Come on, concentrate on this.
But I think he might be my favourite.
Yeah,
King George.
After the like the second pieces where he was appearing, then he was in the background as as King George is in some of the later songs, but it was just more playing the absolute sassy attitude, and it was almost pulling your eye away from what's supposed to be happening to him.
Definitely. Which I know that the other ones have do the same, but there was, I don't know, there was just something about
different. Yeah.
The fact of some of the ways that he delivered some of the lines of saying George Washington standing out, I'm not aware that's something somebody could do, and he sort of had this could I do that?
It's where the first song and the original, I can't remember who did the original Broadway King George.
Jonathan Groff.
He did very sort of, and now don't change the subject. It was very, very aggressive.
Yeah, it was more venomous.
Whereas he was it was more growly. Don't change the subject.
Yeah. It didn't have. I feel like Jonathan Groff had a lot more anger.
Yeah.
And he was more like, excuse me, I'm the king.
Yeah, I'm the king. You can't change that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's standing down and didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it just. I don't know if it's maybe the thing of being influenced partly by what has actually happened in the royal family in the last 18 months and 2 years of Harry going off and stuff.
I think this is nicely rolling into what we think next as well, is that these actors really took their roles and worked with them, because their interpretations are different than the other productions we've seen, but they really sort of lent into it, of making little changes. Like we said already about Jefferson, he was a lot sassier.
Yeah, these are characters that, like I said at the start, the majority of people going have probably seen various incarnations of already. So you go in with a expectation of what
the character's like, what they're going to do.
And they sort of were... They had the bits that you were expecting, but they had so much more and so much more, I want to say, depth to them, which feels an odd thing to say.
They didn't fundamentally change the characters, they just added their own sort of view of how he'd be acting, like we just said with King George.
Yeah.
It was less venomous, more chuckling at the colonies.
Yeah.
In a sort of like,
definitely.
Why are you doing this? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I think if this was your first time watching Hamilton, then you've been spoiled.
You've been spoiled, yeah.
This is going to be really controversial. I think Shaq Taylor was a better Hamilton than Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Ooh.
I said it.
No. Then again, only because of what we've also been doing recently at Shakespeare North, as Hamilton reaching that thing of it feels like the impeccable work that can't be modified on, or is it the actors who really take it the little steps further? So as more productions go on of Hamilton, will they learn more things and how to act these characters, and also each actor's bringing in their own view of what these characters would be like?
Yeah, I don't know, I just feel like I connected more with Shaq Taylor's Hamilton than I did with Lin-Manuel Miranda's.
Yeah.
Controversial probably, but...
Yeah. Maybe it's because it felt like the original Broadway cast was very hyper-focused on the musical elements.
Yeah.
And these were more like, it doesn't matter if it's being sung, it was almost like a patter with quite a few bits instead, where they weren't actually trying to keep in key or anything, but still keeping with the beat of the music. That was I think that was what it was for Burr at the beginning for me, is that Burr was very singing in the other productions, whereas the initial bits of Burr was very much a patter talking in time. Less emphasis on the musical aspect, more on the acting sides of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As you would expect, the costumes and the staging were absolutely impeccable.
Yeah.
The costumes were very true to the original, so like Hamilton's in his green things. Staging was
identical to what you expect for Hamilton. I don't think there was any actual difference with that, but it was set up nicely, and you had the dolly in the middle.
Did they have a treadmill and a...
No, they
rotating?
So I thought it was just one table in the middle that turns. But I feel like it was two separate ones, like they had an outer ring and then another one in the middle.
I think they had a straight one as well.
No. It's just where they were stood at the very sort of apex of the stage on the dolly, so when they walked, they were walking forward, but it was rotating underneath them, so it was perfect positioning on the stage. But there were certain bits where I'm sure that the entire thing always turns, whereas this time there was static items in the middle that didn't move, and then it's almost like they split it in two and just made those little adjustments.
I've just had a really random thought.
Yeah.
So the ensemble, obviously, throwing themselves around the stage, they do a lot of sliding on their knees and stuff. How do they do that when there's a turntable? So there must be there's a risk that they could get caught on a little lip.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I don't know.
This is now going to be like Book of Mormon, sparkly sequined.
How did
they do that?
The other one that also got me is when they were throwing the Reynolds pamphlet around. And there was hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And then the ensemble was like, got them all up in time. And it's like, how?
There was a lot more Reynolds pamphlets than
It must have been about 150 they threw around.
Yeah,
easily.
I did like that they still kept in the giving one to the conductor.
Yes.
Like, that is one of my favourite
things. Have you
things.
read this? He's there holding it up.
Yeah, I think as well, this is possibly a bit random. The lighting. I think the lighting was much better than...
Again, it feels like I need to watch the Disney Plus Broadway one again, just to make sure that this isn't like... If we don't remember it correctly, we may not be remembering it correctly. We may not be remembering any of these details correctly, and you're probably, if you've watched it recently, going, that was in the original, that was in the original. I know, we haven't watched it for a while, so bear with us.
Feel free to leave a comment telling us how wrong we are.
Yeah, the lighting, the one that stands out for me was Jefferson coming back, and what did I miss? The lighting was so polar. Like, it was the entire stage lit up red, then flipped to blue, and it was just very sort of emphasising Jefferson at front and centre of stage, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was like pink sparkly number kind of thing for Jefferson. For me, it was during my shots. The bit where Hamilton it's like his internal monologue / soliloquy bit.
Just after he's done his initial speech.
Yeah, and he's like,
guys.
"Oh, am I talking too loud? Sometimes I get overexcited."
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a one-woman show now. But I don't feel like any other production has made it so that you can tell that it's his internal monologue the same. The lighting put everyone else into a shadow and put the spotlight on him, and I don't remember it being like that from any of the other shows.
It may have been, but
I also think as well, the very first time, like the first song, everyone is on stage, and they had a moment where the lights were like full on, but every single person was lined up across the front of the stage in a sort of like, this is your cast.
This is the cast, yeah.
And then it carried on, and again, I don't remember that in any other version that we've watched, and I really liked it. I just thought the lighting was really on point. The King George, the lighting being red, and then he stamps his foot because he's blue and it's turned to blue.
Blue. Bang.
And yeah, just I feel like this review is very much it was phenomenal, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah. So we're gonna rate this and wrap it up.
Yes. Would you like to go first, or shall I? Or shall we just go together? Okay, after 3. 1, 2, 3.
1
5.
star. 5 stars.
I should have known that you'd do that, shouldn't I?
Oh, it was always going to be 5 stars. There's just something about it. There's something special.
Yeah.
You can watch it again and again, and it's just always fantastic.
Just a couple of things as I've just realised on the merch. They do have merch. Obviously, we've mentioned the programme.
Yep.
The programme was £5.50, which I think is a really good price.
Yeah, surprising.
The brochure was £10. However, the brochure at the minute is not images from the UK tour. It is pictures of the cast from the West End. So it is the West End brochure.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get it thinking that it's going to be images from this production, when we went, it is not. It is the West End production.
To be fair, I think they were probably taking the photos for the brochure last night.
Yeah, I think they probably were. But as it stands at the minute, it's not the UK tour brochure. But the programme is. They do have a lot of merch, including like mugs and
T-shirts.
a variety of t-shirts, tote bags. Some of the merch is the same as in the West End, so the magnet was the same.
Pin badges.
The pin badges were the same that you could get on Shop Disney a while ago. They did have some button badges, which I've not seen before. But yeah, if you're somebody who has been to a lot of Hamilton shows, you may already have quite a bit of the merch, so just watch out for that. And also, there is another merch stand. So as you go into the palace, and there is the merch stand that is by the front doors, ignore that giant queue, go down towards the stalls bar, and there is another merch stall there. That merch stall isn't selling programmes, but there is a person stood next to that stand who is selling the programmes.
Yeah, stood next to the door that goes into the stalls, so you'll see the stand to the left until they run out of programmes like they were before, and then you had to run off and go and collect another box load of them.
The other thing as well is, if like us, you're somebody who uses the app to order drinks, they actually stopped taking orders on the app for the interval drinks because they had too many orders to be able to actually get them out to people, because there were literally every person we saw had about 20 bags in their hands. They were really fully loaded, so they'd stopped taking orders. So if you do like using the app,
get in
early to pre-order. They have started emailing people like ahead of the show to say that you can pre-order for when you are in the show, so it might be worth doing that, just because it is a very packed theatre.
The other thing to notice as well was that they had specialty cocktails on. I don't know if that was just an opening night thing.
Usually they do, I think, at the Palace.
Yeah, so there was like 4 of them, and they were punny of the show, and like 2 of my shots and stuff like that. And but I didn't see any mention of those at the bar or on the app. They were just on a little stand-up sign near the doors, so
weird.
Yeah, well, this was in the stalls bar. I went to go and get some drinks while Joe was queuing for the merch. I didn't see anything obvious. It may have been just on a card or something stuck on another till, but yeah, they have some specialty drinks as well.
So one thing you have just reminded me about is they were letting people take actual glass into the auditorium last night. So glass bottles, like champagne flutes, actual full champagne bottles. I don't know if this was just a last night thing, but
an opening night special, because I think there was some. I think there was friends and family and stuff like that. There was an entire row in front of us that was empty, and then suddenly a group of people got escorted down. So
it could have just been for that, but it did mean that there was broken glass in the auditorium at the end of the night. There was certainly on our row, which we made the staff aware of, but I can't imagine that our row was the only one where somebody's broken a glass. So I guess just
be careful.
Be mindful that
may not have like open toe stuff if there is letting glass. Just wear some closed toe shoes.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Because it could have just been a last night special, but
Anyway, I think we need to wrap this up.
Yeah. Hamilton is on at the Palace, Manchester, until February 2024, and then it's going on a full UK tour. And we will definitely be seeing it at least one more time, because we're going again on Saturday to take my parents.
Yep.
And then we might squeeze in another trip before it finishes, because it's astounding, and I loved every minute of it and can't wait to see it again.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
And if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Doesn't make any difference.
So, like we said, we got Hamilton's next, and then some other shows coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got the Liverpool Everyman and Playhouse rock and roll panto coming up. Okay. We've got some museums and random adventures along the M62 corridor.
But you'll find out soon. But thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Bye.